Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pursuit of Relentless podcast. And today I am just so excited. I don't know if I can express that enough. Our pre-conversation is so good. I have known Tara for, oh my goodness, pretty much my whole life. I'm like, when did we meet? I'm like, I can't even remember. It was
so early that we don't have memories of how long
right.
we've known each other.
Yeah, I think I met you when like Brayden was a baby, like your brother was a baby type thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So this is my very first ever childhood friend who is doing a podcast with me. So I'm super, super blessed to have Tara Teng with me today. And I'm going to get her to tell her story, tell you guys about her book and her journey. So welcome to the show, Tara.
Thanks so much for having me. This is really special. I've never done a podcast with somebody that I've known for so long either, that has seen so much growth, who has, the former versions of who we are. We can have compassion for how much we've changed and how much we've grown since then, because we've seen each other through that. I think that's so beautiful. So I don't know where our conversation is going to go, but I'm here for all of it and I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks again for being here. And I think we should start with your pageant live,
Okay.
because when you're starting out in like when you kind of like transitioned, you moved, you started like doing things in the city away from the small town mentality people. I'm sure lots of things transitioned for you. So what did that look
Yeah.
like? How did it lead you to where you're at today?
Yeah, I think it set me on the course. So I left our hometown of Pell River, our little small town that we grew up in together. I left there when I was 15, almost 16. And the reason why I went into pageants is because, as you would know, we had a Miss Pell River pageant in our town. And I remember looking up at these girls. It was a leadership development program. It was, but they got to get dressed up and wear pretty dresses. And as a little girl, I was just like, wow, we'd see these girls at community events, and it was heavy on community service and charity and volunteerism. And I just wanted to be one of these girls. I was so excited for it. I waited every year until it was finally my turn. The year I was finally old enough to be eligible to be part of the program, we moved.
No way.
Mm-hmm. And I was, for years until I was in university, I was always sad that I never got the opportunity. And so I was in my dorm in university, and a friend of mine, we were looking through the paper, and there was this article about the Miss BC pageant. And I looked at that and I was like, I mentioned to my friend, you know what, this is something I always want to do. It's kind of a regret of mine. I just never had the opportunity. And my friends peer pressured me into applying for the pageant. I entered it just simply because I wanted to have a bucket list item for myself. I wanted to do it for me. I had no intention of winning. I did not think I was going to win. There were so many amazing, driven, intellectual, ambitious, just so kind, like just really, really wonderful, brilliant women.
Mhm.
And I won. And so I won in 2010. And from there, I went on to Miss Canada, won Miss Canada in 2011, and then went on to Miss World Canada in 2012 and represented Canada on the world stage at Miss World in 2012. And I'm so grateful for the experiences. It taught me so much. It taught me so much. I have such beautiful connections with women around the world who have continued to go on. Some are in politics, some are in business, some have beautiful families. And it's amazing to see what we've all done. And for me, you would have known me when I was a kid. I always felt very shy. I felt very
You were
quiet.
very shy.
I
Yeah.
was very shy and quiet. You know this. Most people, I say that and they cannot picture it. They can't picture it. Because not only did I grow up in the small town and in the church like you did, but I was homeschooled. So I always felt like I was on the sidelines looking in. My only friends were you, your family, and other families that I went to church with. I didn't know anybody else at all. And so doing Miss BC, my first pageant, and then going through that whole process, I learned how to speak up for myself. I learned how to find my voice. I
Yes.
didn't I didn't have my own voice up until that moment. And that was really profound for me. That changed me. I remember stepping up to the microphone on pageant weekend and being so scared, my voice shaking, just simply introducing myself. I had to Yeah, it was terrifying for me, and that taught me courage. And so I was very, very grateful for the experience that, I stepped out of my box, out of my comfort zone into something that felt so foreign and intimidating to me, but it set me on the course that I am ultimately on today. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm so grateful for it.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, we should definitely start there, because I think it was where you found yourself. And in your
Yeah.
book, Your Body is a Revolution, it
Yeah.
was one of the parts that you were talking about as well. And I'd love to, if you don't mind, read a caption from your book,
Mm.
which I got
Look
this
at
morning.
that.
I'm so excited. I actually received it yesterday, and this morning I started reading it. I think I read like 30 pages, and I was just like, this is so good. If I didn't have to pack right now, I'd be reading the whole thing. But you
That's so
said,
cool.
my body has wisdom and goodness, even amid the pain and struggle. In fact, it is the pain and struggle that often teaches me the most and has refined my character. Not to say that there's a silver lining to our struggles. When we are in the thick of it, the pain is immensely real and powerful. However, for me, changing my relationship to pain has allowed me to alchemize it so that I can see my body as a teacher. This way, I can embrace the truth that the only way through the pain is to lean into it, feel it, and accept the lessons that as they come. And I really loved that message. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think there's a lot of people right now that are struggling, and just like, it may be physical, it may be mental, it may be emotional, but I'd love for you to dig into that a little bit. Like, why do people feel like that? Or why do people struggle so hard, and then not think that there's anything that they can do about it?
I mean, there's a million different reasons, and it's so real, right? Like this is the paradox and complexity of being human.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, one of the things, I mean, you and I, we had very similar upbringings. Like I said, like we spent our childhood together. I have so many memories, playing in Sunday school, in church, in your backyard, you in my backyard, right? Like I have so many memories of us growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I remember in my childhood, maybe this is a core memory for you, maybe it's not, I don't know, but growing up as we did conservatively in the church, was constantly hearing that we're desperately wicked, we're inherently sinful,
Mm-hmm.
that this idea that we're in need of a savior and a certain expectation of who we ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that has been so redeeming and healing for me in my adult years now, as I reflect on my upbringing, is that it's not true.
Right.
Yes, we have experienced heartbreak. All of us, every single person has experienced heartbreak, suffering, pain. We have all done harm and all been harmed.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. It's so real. It is one of the realest things that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I also know that we are good,
Yeah.
that there's goodness in all of us, that we cannot lose sight of the goodness, even though we may experience pain, even though we may have brokenness, even though we may mess up sometimes, even though we experience just so much grief and heartbreak and sadness, but there is still good in us.
Mm-hmm.
It's so redeeming and healing to not lose sight of that.
Yeah, I agree. And when you're just in the pain and you're just struggling through it and you're just like trying to be positive, just
Yeah.
know that it's okay to like take a day for yourself, or like go for a walk, or like do a meditation, or have a nap, or like have a nice bath or something that like really makes you feel good. And I think that when you're connected to your body, so we were talking about this earlier, and like the pain, I'm super emotional today, but the pain from losing my babies, like my body has changed so much. My like, I'm used to being like super fit and like, yeah, energized, and then postpartum happens and you're like, I just want to sleep all the time. You don't really want to do anything. You're just frustrated. But then you have people going, how can we support you? And I'm like, that's a good question. I don't
Yeah.
really know.
And
So,
we don't know because our culture right now we don't make space for it. We don't even know how. We don't even have a blueprint for it.
Yeah.
We're so in our 40 plus work week hustle. We are so ingrained to keeping up appearances, saving face, helping others, but not letting others help us, not knowing how to ask for help, not knowing how to rest, feeling like we need to earn our rest before we can take a
Yes.
break, right? We can't see anything else.
Yeah.
And I think one of the beautiful things that I try my best to practice, it's always a practice because I have to continue coming back to it. It feels sometimes like swimming up against the current when that's the status quo, but that doesn't align with my values.
Yeah.
That doesn't align with my values and ethics. That doesn't align with my humanity.
Mm-hmm.
My human body needs rest,
Mm-hmm.
nourishment, community. It needs ease. My nervous system needs peace.
Yeah.
I need to build these things into my daily practice because it allows me not only to be more human and honor the things that I go through, the ebb and flow, the emotions that sometimes come to the surface, the reality of all the things that we go through and all the lessons that life is trying to teach us. If we're so busy with the hustle, we miss them. Because we're not in our bodies anymore.
Yeah.
We're disconnected from our bodies. We're so, as a culture, as a collective, we are so disconnected from our bodies. And that's the foundation of my work, is how can we come back into our bodies? How do we come back into relationship with our bodies? This huge piece of ourselves that, yes, we always are in our bodies physically, but we're living up in our heads most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like we have things that we say in our language all the time, like, oh, it's mind over matter. Right? Just like push aside what your body is telling you. Just push through and shove it down because it's mind over matter. Just keep on going.
Yeah.
Don't honor what's coming up for you. Don't listen to your body as it's trying to communicate to you right now. Just push it aside, push it down, and just keep on going until it burns out.
Yep. I did that.
Most of us have.
Yeah.
Because it's not sustainable. It's not how we're supposed to be. Our body can sustain it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Our body can hold on to these emotions that we have for a little bit, right? To keep us safe. But
Yeah.
after a while, it's going to get heavy and it needs to put it down.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to talk about the things. And the thing that I found is the body wisdom that we all have. Your body remembers everything you've ever been through. The childhood memories that you've been through, the things you've been through recently, things that you've been through years ago, your body holds all of it. And we think that historically, we've thought that our memories live in our brain, but our memories live in our body because our nervous system doesn't forget. Right? And this is where we see it come out all the time. We call them triggers sometimes. We see it come out very much in relationships, especially with the relationships of the people that were closest. Oh my gosh, why did I respond that way when somebody said that thing?
Right.
Right? It made me lash out to my family, my friend, my partner. Maybe it made me lash out at myself. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid for doing this again.
Right.
It's because my body remembers something I've been through in the past that was hard for me, where I felt overwhelmed, where I felt afraid, where I felt unsafe, where I felt threatened. And as a result, it's trying to keep me safe. And so it puts these walls up, and I push away the people that I love sometimes, or I turn that vitriol on myself.
Yeah.
Like that's real talk.
Amen to that.
Right?
And we have to just honor our bodies. And I think people aren't listening to them. And I know for myself, I wasn't either. And like 2018, I lost 100 pounds. I was on fire. My business was booming. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And then 2019 hit and I hit burnout.
Yeah.
And I was just like it was not good. And I needed weeks of recovery, because I didn't let myself rest. I thought it was cool to be like the hustler who's always busy and always doing things and getting up early and not sleeping. And I was just like, no, and now I
praise those things.
I know it's crazy. It's so different.
Yeah.
So different.
When you think about it, it actually is insanity. It drives us to insanity because our mental health suffers as a result.
Yeah.
Because we're continuously chasing these expectations or ideals or these shoulds. We're judging other people by the front that they're giving us without ever questioning everything that's behind it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
right?
we also stop listening to our own bodies all the time. And it's like if we just sat there and just sat with ourselves and went, hey, what do I need right now? So funny story. My book, or my computer's actually propped up on 2 books because I'm in the process of moving, so I don't have all my stuff anymore. But it's on a book called How Are You Really? And by Jenna Kutcher.
Perfect.
Right? How are you really?
How meant to be.
Right.
How perfect. Yes. And your body will always tell you how you actually are if you listen to it, because bodies are truth tellers. They cannot do anything other than tell the truth. And here's the thing that I find when I'm working one-on-one with my clients. A lot of the time we've been so disconnected for so long from our bodies, we no longer recognize our body speaking to us. We don't know the voice in our bodies anymore.
Yeah.
And so coming back to that is such important, critical work. And one of the things that I hear often from my clients is, how do I tell the voice of wisdom in my body and truth in my body from the voice of fear in my body, from the voice of anxiety in my body, from the voice of trauma in my body? And so here's what I find is that when I do this work of coming back to my embodiment, I use somatics as the healing modality. We can learn somatic skills. So how do I identify what's happening in my body in this present moment? Can I name it? Can I locate where I'm feeling it? And one of my clients likens this to the process of having a dinner party. So we get curious and we turn our attention inward to our bodies and we notice, oh, I'm responding this way in my relationships because I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Okay. Fear is present in my body. Okay, thank you for telling me that you're afraid. And it's like fear gets to take its seat at the table. I don't have to fix it. I don't have to usher it out like, okay, you're on a time limit, out 15 minutes and you're out of here. Next, rolling door, right? No, fear gets to sit there and be present, and I get to honor fear in my body. I don't have to be overwhelmed by fear, but fear can just exist. It can just be. I can look at it neutrally and recognize it as a piece of my human experience. What is fear trying to tell me in this moment? What does fear want me to listen to? And I find that when I sit with these things and I listen to them, after a while they start to silence, because now they've been seen, now they've been witnessed, now they've been heard. And as I take the time to notice every dinner guest that's there, fear, anxiety, grief, pain, frustration, anger, joy, whatever it is, then when I pull all of those out and I give them a space on the table, now I can see what I'm left with. And that is usually truth. Anxiety is the thing that says, if we don't jump now, we're going to miss our opportunity.
Right.
But truth, intuition, the wisdom of my body goes, it's okay. If it's for you, it's going to come no matter what. And there's nothing you can make it. Nothing's going to stop it. And nothing's going to hurry it up, because it's coming on exactly the right timeline. You just lean into it and you trust.
Yes. I love that.
Such a different energy
totally.
than, oh my gosh, I got to do the thing and I got to do it right now. And if I don't do it now, it's never going to happen again.
Yeah. Well, and that's like through meditation, for instance, like trying to attract that positive energy to yourself, you change your entire vibration. And when your vibration is higher, you raise the vibration of other people. So you sharing that positivity, you sharing that space with people helps them level out. Like before the show, I was in tears and I'm just like, why am I feeling this way? And I'm like, oh, because I'm sad. And Tara instantly was like, do you want to talk about it? Like, do you want to go into it, or do you want to avoid it? And I really appreciate that, because I think when you're feeling those feelings, and people naturally just want to be like, nope, I don't have emotions. And I'll tell you, for a lot of my life, I didn't have emotions. And so, because I had I was on birth control for so long that when I stopped taking birth control, I was like, what's on my face? I was like crying, and I was like, I haven't cried in years. Years.
Yeah.
But it was just like so normal, to have these hormones then. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, like what is happening in my body, right? And then that's when I started really understanding that I had been suppressing my emotions for so long through chemical means, right? With the IUD that I had. And then I was just like, wow. So my doctor said, it's probably going to take you a year to get pregnant. And I was like, okay. It was almost like to the day, like literally like 2 days before our 1-year anniversary, I got pregnant.
Wow.
And it was like, yeah, like I was so excited. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And then I lost it. And I was like, I was just like, I had no idea what to do. No idea what to do. I was just like, oh, I didn't expect that, And then I was like, okay, well, what can I do to honor how I'm feeling right now? I hug my dog, spend time with my husband, go into nature, go to yoga, take that time for myself. And then I was like watching TV and like smoking weed. And I was just like, what am I doing?
Exactly what you needed to do.
What I needed. And after it happening multiple times, I've just been analyzing, like, what are my triggers? What are my, those sore spots that are like, ooh, you think this thought and then you eat ice cream, or like you think this thought and then you self-destruct, and like so it's just like being able to own your thoughts are there, and you can analyze them, but you don't have to submit to them.
Yeah. And it's yes, and noticing that they're there is the first step.
Right.
So much of somatic experiencing is, can we build the skill of noticing?
Yeah.
Can I notice what is present in my body? And this is, I tell all my clients, and this is why sometimes it feels a little bit like therapy, right? Or like working with a registered clinical counselor, which I highly, everybody should highly recommend. But it's a little bit different than talk therapy, because in talk therapy, we are looking back and changing our perspective on, we're gaining insight on the experience that we've been through. Whereas with somatic experiencing, you are noticing what is in your body right now.
Yeah. That's
and
beautiful.
In my body is also everything that I have been through.
Yeah.
Because my nervous system has held on to the information of every experience that I've been through.
Yeah.
That's why those triggers are sometimes like, ooh, that still hurts, right? It's like when you get close to a bruise, your bruise gets bumped on your body, and your body goes, ooh, that still hurts. That's still tender. That is not healed yet. That's what the trigger is. Your body goes, ooh, and then I lash out in a way, or respond, or I disconnect. I'm going to self-medicate by scrolling Instagram, or finding a comfort food, or whatever it is that I need to do to cope. There's nothing wrong with these coping strategies. We just don't want to stay stuck in these places.
Yes, exactly.
Right? They help us survive. They keep us alive. There is a purpose. There's no shame, but we don't want to stay in these places when we are ready to outgrow them.
Yeah.
And to do so means we have to look at the pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Straight in the eyes and go, hey, I see you.
Yeah.
Right?
And what do you have to tell me?
Yeah.
You, and what do you have to tell me?
Yeah. Well, and that's so true.
Compassion for that, right? How can I understand that? How can I befriend that? How can I bring back the piece of myself that I disconnected from because the pain was so much? Because that's the actual healing work. Bringing back that piece of myself that I lost through the thing that hurt so fucking badly.
Yeah. Big time. And I don't know. I love how in your book you were talking about like finding Tara, like finding Tara, and like going, this is who you're meant to be. And I don't know. I have this card that I pulled one time. My friend Kim bought me a deck of cards, and it's just like positive thoughts. And I pulled one day that I was really low, and it said, well, you have never, this is a new day. You have never lived before. So just embrace it, and like be present in this moment, so that you can accept that positivity into your life type thing. And just know that you haven't been this version of yourself yet. And I'm like,
Yeah.
huh, interesting. Because the me that I am today has never experienced anything that it was in the past. As of like waking up in the morning, it's a brand new day. We have a reset button. I get to decide what my story is. I get to decide how I feel today. Is there going to be things that come up? Yeah, totally. As you guys can tell, a little emotional. It's okay. It just doesn't have to, I don't have to sit there and eat Cheetos on the couch all day. I can get up.
And if you do, we have potato days in our house. We call them potato days. We're giving our body a rest. We're giving our nervous system a reset, right? We like to, in our culture, just go all the time. And especially for those of us who are entrepreneurs, right? Like it's when you own your own business, it is very hard to take a day off, right? Even if you are taking a day off, you're often thinking about the things. Let's be honest, right? And so potato days are days where you are a couch potato, and that is actually your only job. The goal is to wipe the slate clean and do nothing else because your body needs it. You need to hydrate. You need to eat more. That is a slow cooker day, real talk. And your body actually needs warm, nourishing food. When you're healing from something, when you're having really emotional days, I tell every single one of my clients, every single client, after we have a very emotional session, doesn't happen all the time, but on those days where we are both weeping by the end of it, we hydrate. We do nothing but lie on the couch. We go take a shower, maybe take a little bit of walk. Go walk outside, get some fresh air, because we know that the nervous system cannot self-regulate. That is a fallacy. It is not true. It does not exist. We regulate our nervous systems with other people's nervous systems, our safe people, right? That's why when you come home and you see your person, or you see your family member or your best friend, whoever is your family chosen or biological, and you see your person, your body gets to melt. Your body has this, oh, I'm home. This is my person, right? Your nervous systems regulate. Or maybe it's your dog, your pet. My dog, oh my gosh, he is the best for this. He walks into the room. He walks in if somebody's upset, if somebody's hurt, if there's, like a little bit of tension rising in the conversation and someone's about to have a fight, he walks in, is like, everybody okay here? Right? He's like, everybody okay? He's like a therapy dog. He walks in and we can regulate our nervous systems with him. He's amazing. We regulate our nervous systems outside through nature, like you said, through movement, through coming back to our body, through putting your hands or your toes in the dirt, for putting your body into water, for breathing the air outside, the elements of nature, these non-human kin. When we come back to these pieces, we recognize that where our society said that, oh, we're a hierarchy and we rank who's above, who's superior, who's below, and how are we all ranked and interconnected? No, we're interconnected. We're not ranked, we're linked.
Yes. We are responsible for helping other people win. And like, that was one of the things I was talking about this morning in that post.
Yes, you were. Yeah. Our bodies know this truth. And that's why that's the only way that we come back through these really difficult times is together. We heal together.
I love it. Oh, that's so powerful. So in your book, I haven't read the whole thing yet. I've read like 30 pages and I'm already like, I have 6 different things that I want to talk about. But you also talked about your change in relationships and how you have chosen to make some changes in your family and stuff. And I think that is just honestly just honoring yourself and going, hey, I know something's not right here. And I had experiences like that myself where I was just like, this is bad. I need to get out of this. And then my family being like super.
My body tells me when I'm in an unsafe situation.
Yeah.
Or if I'm with an unsafe person. even sometimes we're unsafe people for ourselves, right? We can bully
Mm.
ourselves with the things that we say to ourselves,
Big
right?
time.
And our bodies know when that is the case. And so I have learned, and I'm continuously working on remembering, coming back to the truth of listening to that. And I'm at the point now where I will no longer be in places or relationships where my full embodied authentic self is not welcome and celebrated.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
so good. Yes.
Pause. I can't hear you anymore. I don't know why.
Wonder why.
Oh, hold on.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can. My
Okay.
computer went to the wrong speakers.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Sorry,
can
we'll
still
have
hear
to cut
you.
that later.
That's okay. I have good
Can you
good people.
say what you said again? Because I want to hear it.
I don't remember what were we saying? What were we talking about?
The last thing I said was that I no longer am willing to be in places or relationships where my full embodied self isn't welcomed and celebrated.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And the fact that we can just own that in ourselves and just go, hey, as Andy Frisella, one of my business mentors, he just says, hey, I'm not for everyone. And I
Yeah.
love that because I'm like, hey, I don't have to be the same person that you think that I am.
Yeah.
Your perception of me is none of my business, is what I was told
Yeah.
by one of my mentors. And I'm just like,
Yeah. That's so true. That's so real. I worked through that with so many of my clients. And also, can we honor the fact that that can be easier said than done sometimes, right? It's easy to be like, well, I don't care, I'm not for everybody. But like sometimes that means that there's grief because a relationship of mine that I really valued, that person isn't able to meet me where I need them to, or boundaries are crossed.
Yeah, big time.
And there big grief there when someone you love cannot go with you on the next stage of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I am speaking from so much experience. I left a marriage behind. I left the church behind. I left so many friendships behind that were not able to grow with me, that didn't feel safe for me anymore. And I have so much love and care for a lot of these people.
Mm-hmm. Big
But
time.
I was unwilling to deny what my body was screaming at me. I didn't realize for the majority of my childhood that my hands, my arms, I had eczema everywhere because my body was screaming at me that it did not feel safe in the church. But I knew no other environment but that environment.
Right.
And as a kid, I was like, these are just all my friends like you, right? But the ideology, the power dynamics in so much of this was hurting me.
Yeah.
And I could no longer stay in these places that were unwilling to acknowledge and take accountability for the harm that was being done.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think people don't realize it either. They just kind of go with it because that's normal, especially as children. And then you look at that and you're like, maybe that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And it's okay. But if these people don't accept me for the person that I am now, that's okay. It just means that they can't be a part of my life, right? Like we were talking earlier, one of my family members was pretty vicious with me a couple of years ago and has not apologized. And I'm just like, I don't need that person in my life. I wish them well. I still love them, but I sit here and I go, it sucks. It sucks. But at the same time, I know I'm doing what's best for me because I'm not going to allow real estate in my mind to be taken up by someone who doesn't love and appreciate me, you know? So I think it's so powerful to just like honor your true self. And the beginning of your book talks about that too. And I love that. And you're just like, some people, we just don't think alike, right? And you're honoring the person who's walking down the sidewalk and what they want to wear. And yet it's like so many people don't even have that belief in themselves that they can wear the like anchor print dress, with pockets. I'm like, I love it. Or like, don't wear makeup, right? Like that's a thing that I've just made that decision for myself. I wear makeup if I want to not be me, like if I want to be someone else or like show up as in a different way, then I'll put makeup on, but like normally every day, I'm like, nah, I don't want to, and I'm just going to honor that. I have really sensitive skin and I'm like, I don't like acne.
I love the honoring of the differences, like one of the things in our household is like my daughter loves playing with makeup. And for her, it's her creativity and it's her expressing herself. But do you know how much pushback we get because
Yeah.
I allow a 5-year-old to play around with her makeup?
Right. Yep.
So much pushback.
Yep.
Everywhere we go, someone has an opinion about it. And it's like, dude, it's not a big deal. She thinks that the sparkles and the pink, it's fun and it's pretty. And we have conversations that she does not need it to be beautiful.
Yes.
But it can be fun if it feels good like that. It can just be creative. It can be her expressing something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything more than that, than an expression.
It's like mom moment, high fives.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
So different from that upbringing that we had.
Oh my goodness. You need blush to be beautiful. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
No,
and also
don't submit to that.
I mean, that's so interesting. That's so interesting that like that your child, you need blush to be beautiful, where mine was you're not allowed to wear blush.
Right.
Mine was the opposite.
Yeah.
Which is so funny. And I'm so intrigued to have that conversation of like the similarities and the differences. Cause I think sometimes there's a few stories in the book that talk about the church that you and I both grew up in, talk about the town that we both grew up in, things that as I was writing, I was recalling these things that were core memories for me, but you might have even been in the same room for some of those core memories.
Right.
And I don't know if they're core memories of yours or not. So I think that's so fascinating is what our bodies remember, because it can be a profound moment that shifted my course, that maybe you were even in the same room and it was like, nope, I don't even remember that. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And yet we just develop these core memories and we hold on to these things. And it's like you saying you were shy, or like I was really shy. And I've had people who are like, what do you mean you're not shy? And I'm like, oh yeah, you didn't know me 10 years ago. Like I was a totally different person 10 years ago. And I think my favorite, it was so funny when I left site and I just like truly stepped into like me. This is me. This is who I am. I loved when people were like, oh, Alaina, I didn't recognize you. I was like, good, I'm not the same person. Like, yes, oh, I didn't recognize you. I'm like, yeah, no, I have a different energy. I have a different demeanor, like I'm happy. I'm not miserable. I'm not complaining. I'm not, like I'm sitting here in a positive mentality, trying to give back to people and do what's right in the world and do what honors me, because I am a contribution person. Right. And a variety person, which is interesting. I don't like doing the same thing every day. But now I want to go back to talking about like honoring your truth. And so we're out of time, which is unfortunate. Do you have a meeting right away? No, you're good.
Oh,
okay.
Take all the time you want. I don't have anything to I gotta pick up my kids later. We're good.
Oh, cool. Perfect. All right. Well, honoring your truth and honoring listening to yourself. So I went to an event, Ben Spangle's event. Give Ben a little shout out there. It was called Vibe Higher. And in the seminar, it's nothing I've never heard before, right? I've gone to like Joe Dispenza meditation events. I've done meditation. Yeah, I've done all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, all right, I'll go. See how it is. And that event made me sit there and go, this is my old story. Yeah. It's the old story that I have about my body. This is the old story I have about my business. This is the old story I have about whatever it is in my life that I'm trying to accomplish, right? And then the next section was, this is my new story. And just rewriting that for yourself in a more positive light and like what you want it to look like, instead of sitting there and going, oh, I've had multiple miscarriages, or, oh, I'm overweight right now, or, oh, I'm just not where I want to be. And so on my way home, is a 5-hour drive to Edmonton from where I live. And I was driving home and I was by myself and I was just sitting there like listening to like yoga music, which is hilarious because normally I'm into like dubstep. And yet I listen to like
complete opposite. Complete rhythm. Opposite.
Yeah, rhythmic, right? It's the feeling of the music that I like. It's the blissfulness, it's the calmness, or else it's like the right? Like we're gonna have fun. So music is big for me, for sure. That was a big part of my church career as well. Not my church career, but I loved music. I loved the music, and that was about it. So, but anyway, so I drive home and I get about 30 minutes out of town and I sit there and I go, why am I doing this? Like, why am I driving 5 hours to go and be with people that I want to hang out with? Right. And I'm sitting there going, why am I in Fort McMurray, Alberta? Why am I here? Because of money? No, it's not. It doesn't do it for me anymore. You know, it's been years and years and years and years and years since I've been driven by money. Now it's impact. Now it's making a difference, like creating that ripple effect in someone else's life where they can then go out and change people's lives forever. And I'm just sitting here going, I can't keep doing this and repeating the same habits over and over and over and over and expecting to get a different result. It's not going to work. So I got home and I went downstairs and my husband was on night shift and I had just like woke him up. I was like, you have to go to work in an hour, so I'm going to wake you up anyways. And I said, Kyle, I think it's time for us to move home. And he just like sat up in bed and was like, finally. And I'm like, wow, I haven't been listening. I haven't been listening to what he wants. You know, I've just been like living my life and doing my thing. And then when I stopped and I was just like, what is it that truly makes me happy? Family, right? Family, friends, relationships, nature, ocean. I'm like, I got to go home. And so this is how God's worked in my life. The last 3 months. So February, I miscarried for the 3rd time. March, the doctors were supposed to call me. It's June. They still haven't called me. So thankfully I'm not dying. But like the medical care up here is just terrible. It's awful. And so I'm like, where can I go? And so anyways, turned out, funny story. When I miscarried, I had to go to the doctor in Port Alberni. And then turns out they have a gynecologist there that called me 3 times in one weekend just to make sure I was okay, you know? And so I'm like, I'm going to go deal with that guy. I'm going to go deal with that guy. He cares.
That's the level of care that people need.
So here's when I made that decision, right? It was like 2 weeks after that or 3 weeks after that when I went to that event. And I was just like, okay, it's time for us to go home. And then boom, like within a couple of weeks, found our dream house, purchased it. Within 4 days of listing our house, sold it. And I'm just like, okay, right? So sometimes this is lesson. Here's the lesson. Sometimes you just have to stop and listen in order to get and attract what you actually want. Because I sit here and I look at my goals. My number one goal is to retire my husband, right? It's my goal. I'm this close. I'm so close. And yet I sit there and I go, what does Kyle want to be happy? He wants to go home, right? He wants to go back to the island. So it's not that he has to quit his job or anything. Like he can keep his job. He can still like commute and still have that life. And I'm just sitting here going, why did I wait so long? But it's because I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to myself.
I hear you. Your body was talking to you. And you know what I love about this story is it sounds like your baby tried to bring you back home.
I agree.
Your baby helped you guys both get back home. What
Well,
a beautiful
that's the thing.
gift.
Like, imagine trying to create this family for myself. And I'm like, what am I missing? Family. Family. Like I miss them. I want to be with them, right? I'm just, man, how do I do that? I gotta go home.
You gotta go
and so
home.
Now everything is lining up perfectly. And like we leave on Sunday and I'm like,
See, listening to your body is powerful.
Yeah. Well, and
Listening
that's
to your
why
body is powerful.
I was like, when you put your book out there, I was like, I want to interview her, because I just saw that and I was just like, wow, I love that you're teaching people how to heal their relationships, not only with other people, but with themselves. And
Yes.
I really resonate with that big time. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much.
For
Final
sharing that
closing
story.
tips. What would you want people to do
Mhm.
if they, first of all, are in that place of chaos, or they're in that pain right now? What are some of the things that you would suggest for them?
Just get curious. Slow down for just half a second long enough to get curious, because your relationship with your body is a relationship like any other one. Your body wants to speak to you. It speaks to you through sensation, through emotion, through intuition, and when necessary, when you're not listening, through pain.
Mm,
Most of us are so disconnected, we don't feel it, we don't hear it. And so you need to slow down and be, I wonder what my body is trying to say to me. There's a reason why we hear things like, oh, I walked into the room and like the vibes were off. Like that is your body trying to talk to you. That is a real thing. Your nervous system picks up on the environment that you're in, and your nervous system will tell you when you need to leave.
yeah.
Right. And so start getting curious about what's happening in your body. And like I said, like a relationship, if you come to a relationship with judgment, like, ugh, what is that? What is she doing? What is he doing? What is over there? What is going on? There is no room in there in that relationship for dialogue now. You have shut down that. If somebody comes to me and I can immediately hear the judgment in their voice, I don't want to talk to that person.
Right? No, totally.
Right?
No.
100%. We all know this. But if somebody comes to me with curiosity, or if I go to somebody else with curiosity, I can judge them or I can be curious. Tell me more about that.
Mm,
What does that mean for you? Where have you been? What have you lived through? What stories does your body hold? When you approach your body with that same curiosity and not judgment, not, ugh, what's that? What's that? Can I get more information? And can I receive the information then that my body is trying to communicate with me without making it some sort of judgment on myself?
mm,
Oh, I'm a loser for thinking this. Oh, I'm a horrible person because I feel this way. Oh, I'm never gonna get out of my depression. I'm gonna wallow forever. My anxiety, I will always be a failure because I'm always gonna be anxious. Can you just listen to what your body is trying to communicate to you?
mm.
And look at that as information that you are taking in. What does your body want to tell you? And can you listen to them as you would a friend
Mm-hmm.
and start to rebuild that friendship again?
Yeah.
Because most of us left it at some point in our lives because we didn't think it was welcomed.
Yeah.
Coming back to all of those pieces of ourselves is healing.
It's like hugging your
All
little child self. Like,
Yeah,
you're okay.
your little child self, that my inner child that was so shy and perpetually scared and felt like she needed to be the good girl and keep up all of that. And my teenage self that was pissed. Why do I have to leave my friends and move now?
Right.
I don't want to move now. I don't want to leave now. I hate it. Feels so unjust. She was pissed and didn't know how to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? My adult self that had so much grief. And can I have compassion for all of these former versions? We talked about like, oh, I don't even recognize you. Yeah, because I'm different. I'm different now. But also, I don't want to look at these former versions of myself either and be like, ugh,
No,
cringe. No, I want to
I
have,
learned in that one.
she got me here.
Right.
So hard to get me here. She struggled. She fought. She went to hell and back. She went to war for me
Yeah.
to get me here today.
Mhm.
I have to have so much compassion for every other version of myself that exists. And the beautiful thing is that within my nervous system, I am the age I am today and every age that I have ever been simultaneously.
Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, amazing. This was such a good conversation, and I want people to get more access to you. I posted your book link today on social media, and I'll make sure that I do that again when the show launches. And I want people to get more access to you. So how can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on my website, taratang.com. I'm on socials across the board at Miss Tara Tang. And I do events. I do events in Vancouver. I travel sometimes. This summer, I'm going to be on the island in August. I'm going to be in Pal River in July. I'm going to be in Alberta in July. So I travel and I host retreats and events, and I do a lot of online stuff as well too. And I work one-on-one with clients. So if there's anything that sparked something in you, that you feel this resonance in your body for any of your listeners, I would love to connect, even if it's just to say, hey, let's say, hey, and let's connect. And hopefully we can find our way back to each other, but most importantly, back to these pieces of ourselves.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, guys, I know you got a ton of value out of today's show, and we are a holistically grown show, so make sure that you're sharing it. I know that there's a lot of people who needed to hear this message today, including myself, as you can tell from my crazy emotions and the fact that I have to have Kleenex beside me at all times during this conversation. But I think that when you really embrace the best version of you and the person that you know you're capable of becoming, you will be ultimately happy, because you know that in your heart, you're being true to yourself. So I hope that that resonates with you all. I hope that you reach out to Tara and tell her how much you loved this episode.
Yeah, buy the book. It's in Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Indigo, all the indie bookstores. Share it with a friend. Make sure it gets in the hands of the people who need it.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, well, that's it for today, guys. Until next time, that's Pursuit of Relentless signing out.